welcome, welcome, welcome. Another good day in the neighborhood. It's cold. My head is getting cold. Can you tell, John?
Yeah, we should get that. We should go to one of those craft shows and get you a bunch of hats. You can be the hat lady of Flint Talk Radio. Yeah.
That would be funny.
We have one on City Council. We'll just get you a big hat.
Yeah. I can just wear a hat, but except my headphones won't fit on, and I can't be cute without my headphones.
We'll get something like they used to have for the pilots in the the Second World War. How's that?
I told her I would donate some of my hair to her.
Yeah.
Oh, see, you
that was nice.
Ponytail. Look at that.
Yeah, we discussed it before.
Yeah. So, anyways, today we have Mr. Jellyfish, and I wonder if people actually are wondering why we call him Mr. Jellyfish, because I was wondering why. But actually, his name is Daryl. Mm-hmm. Oh, has he got another brother named Daryl?
No, I've dealt with this for so long.
Daryl is my other brother.
The Bob Newhart joke. We have to do this.
All right.
We'll clear the air, but no.
No other brother named Daryl.
Grandfather's name was Daryl.
Okay, so
maybe
close enough.
Maybe we'll find the Larry somewhere, but
I know Larry, just a couple blocks down the street. He'll be a good part. He's a cool sidekick.
We'll play the joke later.
All right.
Anybody that's not familiar with it can just look it up online.
Yeah, because they probably think, what are they talking about?
Well, you're a kid when that studio still on, weren't you?
Yeah, but I've had to grow up hearing the
Daryl and Daryl.
Yeah, the reference so many times. Yeah.
So now he had to go and look it up himself because when we were kids, we went to the encyclopedia, but I'm pretty sure he went to the web. Did you ever have encyclopedia?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Get out of here! Yeah. You had encyclopedia.
Well, now we use Wikipedia, but
but it's online.
No. I'm still a bookworm.
Okay.
Okay. I just finished a book last night.
Okay. What book was that?
Common Sense. by
Is that the real title?
By T-Pain.
T-Pain, yeah.
T-Pain.
Yeah.
Now, isn't that the rapper?
I got this image of Thomas Paine dressed as a rapper.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't know. I just know a Paine that's a rapper. Isn't his name T-Pain or?
Yeah. I'm playing around between the generational divide.
Oh, okay. It's like the guy named 2 Chains and he wears 3 chains. I don't know. Anyways, you just so happen to be a musician. So the way I met Daryl Jellyfish at the machine shop, and we had the nice Arts for Kid event over there, and he comes up to me and he says, "Hi, my name is Mr. Jellyfish, and you're lesser."
Yeah.
Well, you know what I always say? No, I'm more. And
like I had the wrong person.
Yeah, like he had the wrong person all the time. But when he went up to play, I mean, it sounded like it was a complete band, and it was only one person. Mm-hmm. So now tell me how you became a musician, because when we were standing out there, it was just like it was a whole band. But when I came inside and looked, there was only one person on stage with all the instruments and things going on.
As a music artist, like growing up and playing in different bands and doing different projects or whatever, eventually I kind of stumbled into this role and pick up that stage name for a while and run with it. I did a few, homegrown sort of albums up till like 2005, and then something clicked and I said I wanted to do something else, so I started a different project. But then I came back to this Mr. Jellyfish thing. And I worked on an album for like 6 years, and I just finished it in 2011.
Wow.
And I'm like, I really want to do something with this. But at the time, I had this music, and I'm like, how do I get the point across that this stuff is kind of like it's kind of like a comic book. The action, all the stuff that I'm talking about, the alien invasion and whatever. I mean, people are going to have to look it up because it's going to be maybe too complex for me to go into too much detail. It's a big old
thing if you go on the internet.
And how much it entails. Now I'm writing a book on this stuff because people want to know more about the mythology that I've built around this thing, and it's a full-blown comic book. But if I can put it into a few words, it's like a rock space opera or whatever. Sort of let's think of something like let's see, your guys' generation, maybe Ziggy Stardust. Some David Bowie.
David Bowie.
I know David Bowie. Yeah. I don't know the Stardust.
Yeah, there's a persona he did as Ziggy Stardust.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, okay. And there was a rock space opera, that sort of thing.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Well, mine's sort of like a modern day equivalent, but it's got, nice packaging of comic book exterior. And that solved my problem right there. I figured I haven't drawn comic book artwork in years and years. I kind of just threw that away. As soon as I got involved with music, that became my passion. That's what I did all the time. And I put that artwork on the back burner. I never thought of using it as, my own artwork that I would need it at some point for my projects. But I had to sort of retrain myself into that. I didn't know what to, you start out with those abilities, like riding a bike or whatever. Everybody learns how to do that, but if you haven't ridden a bike in years,
right,
you're not gonna feel as comfortable. You're gonna have some anxiety over it. So after
a little bit.
after I went out and I bought, like I said, I'm a bookworm, so I went out and I bought some books on drawing and sketching and doing graphic art and getting into a digital medium, and that's how now I support my own artwork for any of my CDs, any of the stuff that I do now. And I went overboard with it, and now when you, like you say, you see the live show, I've got a huge screen behind me and it's got all this great comic book artwork that's playing behind me as I perform the songs. But upon completing that album that took me 6 years to get finished, the only way you're going to get noticed is by performing live.
Right.
And I didn't just want to be a niche sort of, basement studio musician or whatever and pass it out to friends and family. Those are strong supporters. But I want to share this with everybody because I think it's really cool, and I think it's something that not just, comic book nerds are going to, gravitate towards, or it's not just going to be something that rock music nerds are going to be, if there is such a thing. Is there rock music nerds?
I don't know, because isn't what you play rock?
I would say, gosh.
I didn't hear any R&B coming out of there.
No, of course not. No. I mean, like I said, I've included the one ballad that's on that album in the live set because I feel like I don't want to alienate people with the music. I want to keep that diversity that's on the album in the live show. I could play all the really heavy, sort of menacing stuff that's on there, but
well, you were playing, so you took that ponytail down. You were flinging it. I was like, look at him go. It's like what I always think is funny is when I listen to the songs that the rockers play and you can't understand what they're saying. It's like they're growling. All this kind of stuff. It's like, doesn't that hurt after a while?
Well, even just singing like my voice is somewhere in the mid-range, but if I go too low or I go too high or whatever and you start really exerting yourself, it starts to hurt.
Yeah, I would think it hurt because they growling into the microphone.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but eventually you maybe build up some calluses or something in there.
On your vocal cords.
You're able to deal
with
it.
Usually have surgeries to remove them.
Yeah, they don't want you to have those.
Yeah, maybe. So that's some sort of the humble beginnings, and now I'm trying to do this bigger and better. If I couldn't get somebody else to do my own artwork or help me with my own live show, like you said, it sounded like a full band up there.
Yeah, it did.
I found that if you want it done right, you got to do it yourself. So I supply all the instrumentation on the album. I'm going to do all the singing. I'm going to do all my own artwork. I'm going to do this. I'm going to have this huge screen behind me that's going to be a backdrop. I realize that it's going to be very boring. I'm not Neil Young. I'm not this guy that can sit up there and strum a guitar, slap my foot on the stage and sing and have a harmonica strapped to my chin and everything. I can't do that. I don't have that versatility. I don't have that skill set. So it's going to be boring seeing me up there with my laptop playing the backtracking, my guitar, and I'm singing. But if I throw up this really cool background with all this comic book artwork and there's all these things that are
lights
animated,
flashing.
Playing behind me, and the music is just so epic, and it feels like a full rock opera. I've got a choir. All the choir parts are sung by me, so you got this choir that's my voice, a dozen or so times playing behind me, and it sounds like a full, or may sound better than a full band or whatever, because I have so many instruments. It's not just limited to 3, 4, 5 guys on stage.
Because you're standing there and it's like you pressing one button, but it's like all these instruments are playing. I'm hearing everything playing. You got your drums and synthesizers and all this stuff. I mean, how does that work? How what's amazing to me is when people put they're singing and then you can hear their voice in the background too. I mean, you have to piece all that together. And so how do you learn how to do that? Because I'm always amazed because when I'm singing karaoke and you got songs that have that, it's like I don't know what part to sing.
Yeah,
Just jump in here, you know.
Do I sing up the backup vocal or am I still singing?
Yeah,
lead
am I
vocal?
singing lead? I mean, what do I do?
Yeah. Well, the way I've handled this is some of it was self-taught, like learning those programs, those sessions, and setting up the multi-track so that I can record. You know, I decide I'm going to have guitar, bass, and drums or whatever on this song, and then later on I might add, some classical instruments like an orchestra or some choir voices or a synthesizer, like you said, or whatever. And just experimenting with different projects over the years, it's given me that sort of versatility to try new things or, like step out of the comfort zone so that what ends up happening, though, is the music is... It's less simpler to sort of tag a genre or a label on top of it. So people come up with weird things like I'll call it electro rock,
right?
Or the history of metal on Facebook said that it was alternative industrial metal. And if that's not a tongue twister or if that doesn't sound overly complex. But the point of it is I feel like it's just rock music. It's got some heavy metal influence in there, but I also use a whole lot of orchestra and, like I said, the choir music, and there's electronic instruments in there too. So after years of messing around with different projects and bands and being sort of self-taught on those studio programs, I did go to a vocational class that was like an audio-video sort of thing, and I get familiar with other programs besides the one I'm already familiar with, and teach me sort of the ins and outs and things that maybe I wasn't familiar with before because I am using different programs.
Right.
And though all those programs might be different, the interfaces are so similar that you learn one, you basically know them all. So I still use that same program that I've grown up with for so long because I know it like the back of my hand. I know where all the effects are. I know where, what's going to happen with this or whatever and set it up a certain way. And I know what the results are going to be when I start sitting down to mix the songs in the album eventually. And maybe someday I'll step out of that comfort zone and I'll experiment a little more with a different program. But if it works right now for me and I don't feel like I need to fix it, then I'll stay in my safe zone.
For now.
But next year when I start recording again, I might step out of that. So that explains like how, my musical background and the recording background, the production end of things, I'm able to do all that stuff.
So where's my copy of the CD?
I thought I gave you one.
No,
I didn't give you one. I didn't give you one at the machine shop.
I usually get them autographed. See,
Do you have one here?
I brought some in the car.
Oh well, good.
With the posters. And there's a sticker on the inside. I did it up. I figured if I'm gonna do this, and it took me 6 years to finish the album, then I'm going to go big.
Yeah.
Or stay at home.
So how many have you sold? Are you rich and famous yet?
No, I've kept a little, ledger of who I've given copies to, sold copies to, promotional sort of things and whatever. Who's won copies, giveaways. Maybe we'll do a giveaway today and people will have a chance to own this album that I spent 6 years making.
Right.
But now the album's old. It came out last year. Okay, it came out in 2011.
So now
I'm talking about it in 2012.
Right, but it's time to, if you haven't sold all of them, I'm pretty sure somebody never heard of it.
Exactly.
And so somebody will want, and they think of jellyfish. You're like, what's a jelly? What's that got to do with music,
Exactly.
The musical jellyfish.
Well, think about this. What does Ziggy Stardust have to do with David Bowie and his space rock opera? It's just a goofy name.
And see, I never even knew that. I like David Bowie, but I think it's only a couple of his songs that I like. And only one, like Fame. I used to love that. That was a jam. And it was, I think, one other one, but I don't really know a lot of his music. I know him.
Let's just get it straight though. That project, or at least David Bowie himself, is just kind of weird. Anyways,
when he was dressed up looking like woman, trans something.
I like Peter Gabriel.
I like Peter Gabriel.
Well, I would say my stuff is more comparable to something like Billy Thorpe, that Children of the Sun sort of thing, revisited. That stuff is great.
Oh, Billy Thorpe was the 80s. Early 80s.
I know, but we'll get you educated.
Okay.
You'll love
I was
that
thinking
stuff.
Billy Bob Thornton.
You're talking a lot. It's pretty sophisticated music, though. I mean, the rock operas and stuff, they're pretty. Like the Who had several. They had 2 or 3 of them.
I know the Who.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
See, some of the people I know, I just may not know their music. Like, I probably can't name a song from The Who right off, but I know who The Who is.
Mm-hmm.
But, David Bowie, like I said, the only one I can think of right off the top would be Fame. And then the Billy Thorpe, I don't know.
Oh, Bowie.
Billy Thorpe.
I don't know who that is.
Children of the Sun. You remember Children of the Sun?
No, the movie Children of the Corn?
No, the Children of the Sun is like a song. I could say it's like a song that's got it's a lot of drama to the song. I mean, it's a build up. It's like it basically tells a story within a story, and that's really a cool concept to work.
Yeah.
Well, see, I think he's older than he's saying. I think he's, you know how they say you're older than dirt.
No. I'll clarify. If you haven't seen already, like I'm a bit of a media hound. I love all sorts of entertainment. So if it's a movie, I went to see Wreck-It Ralph. It was a great movie. You don't know about Wreck-It Ralph? See,
am I too old?
No.
There's a lot of stuff out there that just comes out and they don't.
Just
you're right with the right channel.
The DVD.
No. There's so many things. You try to keep up on it, you're gonna get lost anyways.
Oh well, I know James Bond.
But when you find the things that you like or that you gravitate towards, you're just interested in. I keep up on that stuff. So I've got my musical horizon is there's so much depth to it.
It's soaring.
The movies that we like to see, the theater. I mean, I go to the theater at least 2 or 3 times a month. And that's a lot of money out of your pocket just to go to a movie. I could be renting movies like crazy, but
for Netflix.
Netflix $8.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, if I want weight,
4 or 5 a month, for one price.
My butt would get sore. if I watched movies as often as I'd like to watch them, I could just be a film critic. Maybe I could stop this music thing, this comic book stuff. There's too much work. I can get paid to critique movies.
Exactly, and just lay on your couch on your soft chair and write.
Exactly.
I think that's what he should do.
No. I already started writing the book.
He's too amped up on the music.
I already started recording and producing the next album. I just did another album for my other project in October.
Now, do you do any sound for like backdrops for anything like that? You know how people have their music to go with movies or anything. Have you ever been able to do anything like that? Or this is all on you. This is just everything you.
On the music end, no. But surprisingly, on the video end, with all this animation and stuff like you see that supplies.
I'd like to do
backdrop.
the voice to some of that. I'd like to do some voiceover. I don't know.
I might give you opportunity because I haven't expressed this enough lately, like in interviews or maybe some of the posts I put online, but I'll be working on like animated shows because of all the experience I've had lately with the digital art and stuff. Like, well, what's stopping me from having like a video editing program or animation studio program? I can make my own little cartoons and stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, that's something that I grew up thinking about and experimenting with anyways. Little kids draw little flip books or whatever and comic books.
The only thing I knew how to do in a flip book was an ant crawling up a hill. I think that was the first thing I learned how to do.
I might put you on the payroll.
Yeah, I just let me draw those ants. Because that's the first thing I learned how to do. Draw the hill and then draw the ant. He went on up the hill, come down the other side. I was happy with that.
I don't have that skill.
But I like to do voiceover because every time I see the animated shows and you see the people in the booth doing stuff, I'm like, and they just had an article in our paper about a guy out in Grand Blanc that does it, and I was trying to get him on the show, but can't reach him. So
and all the actors too that do those voiceovers for those animated things.
Yeah,
love it because they can show up wherever they want to. They can really get into it. They can make that character totally theirs.
Yeah,
go off over the top. They love it. You know,
I think that would be fun for me because I think I could bring a character to life, even an ant.
I'm gonna keep you in mind.
You are
I might make your dream a reality. You'd be surprised. I might call you over and you can do some recording. It'd be great to have Lisa. Maybe John would do some too. I don't know.
Yeah, John could do some too.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, I like that kind of stuff. Yeah, it's like
great.
I wish I know.
He would make us both stars, John.
I wish you'd have given me a heads up that he had a CD because we could have had him bring one in with him so I could play some of the cuts. But
the thing is, everybody will be able to look it up. If you go to your Facebook pages, everybody can just sit there, just type in Mr. Jellyfish on that little search bar, and you guys are going to see the webpage. It's going to be the first thing that pops up anyways. It's got a little crop circle logo. And it's the alien
circle,
the alien themed stuff. You're gonna know it from.
Well, there's a group locally called Crop Circle.
Oh yes, I was gonna say that. Yeah. I was like, maybe they just got a free plug. No, they didn't get a free plug. No, Look up them too, I guess.
Right.
Yeah,
While you be like, oh, I know them.
Yeah.
Everybody get a little shot on the Flaming Pit Show.
Actually, I have to do this because if it wasn't for one individual, I would have ended up having to work tonight.
Oh.
So if I could I want to give a quick shout out to Mr. Steven, my dog, picking up my shift. Actually, we switched shifts, so that put.
So is he going to be watching you today? Are they going to support you for coming on?
A few of the coworkers know. Of course, all my
they can
friends,
always come back and look at it later.
Family and fans. Hopefully, they can catch some of it. I'll have to put a link up later or whatever, of course.
Well, John will post it, and I'll have a picture of us.
John.
He always posts the shows, and then I put them on my page, and then you can share them around to your friends. And everybody that's not watching right now can always watch it later. And you can watch it over and over and over and over and get that good to them.
I don't think I want to watch myself over and over and over.
It might be some people that might. They'd be like, wow, look at that. John, you can't tell he has a blue beard, can you?
No, slightly.
Pick it up.
A little bit.
It was bluer than that when I first met him.
Well, see, that camera over here, the hard record camera is really good, so that might pick it up. But the one going up to the internet,
real bright. The one up there, you probably won't see it. But so now, when you doing the music, have you ever taught anybody else music? I mean, you say everything is self-taught. Have you taught, like, mentored anybody or did anything like that to make somebody else famous?
Well, I'll clarify. I wasn't totally self-taught on some of that stuff. I was self-taught when it came to like recording and production, but my old man gave me, the basics, the rundown on playing a guitar. Mm-hmm. And he did it just as, leisure, just a thing like while he was in the military and after he got out of the military. It's just one of those things like the old man's playing guitar. I wanted to play drums.
Oh, well, see, I always wanted to play drums too, but I don't have the coordination. Piano and drums, I think those are the only two things I wanted to play.
But drums are too expensive. So I never got drums. And that's why
all the kids always get drums at Christmas time.
That's why you never got that stuff neither.
No, you're right. Never got a piano either.
It's expensive. So I end up, picking up the guitar thing, and that's fine because it's such a versatile instrument. You can mess around with so many other instruments after you learn. Usually if you learn one, it's easy enough to pick up other stuff if it's piano or drums. Right. And just people have a knack for those sort of things. I'm not a child prodigy or anything like that, so
you don't have any rich and famous relatives? No relatives way back?
Maybe like Queen Elizabeth or something is a distant cousin or whatever, but I don't think it's gonna save us.
It's not gonna come back this far.
No, I don't think so. But as far as like helping other people or showing other people, putting them through the ropes, maybe giving them some of the basics. Of course, like coming up through, junior high and high school and stuff, people learn that. Well, he's really good. He can play fast, or he can play these songs. I could never learn that stuff. So they pick up little, tricks off of me. And some of those guys went on to like have their own little bands and projects and stuff down the road. Some of those guys are, still live around the Flint area, or they play around Detroit or something like that. And that's great to see. Like, well, I remember I used to teach that guy, some hot guitar licks once in a while, or I used to play some heavy metal in our garage, or I used to play it and they would watch, whatever it was. I mean, there's all sorts of like old home movies of that sort of thing. But
you were a little kid with the guitar.
yeah. The hair was a lot shorter too.
Yeah.
And it wasn't as dark. It didn't look like Asian lady hair now.
So how long did it take you to grow that ponytail? Is it your real ponytail?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Yeah,
I know it is. I saw him shake it loose like this.
You can't really see it through the cameras here.
No,
but
it's real heavy though. It's like you could cut that and donate it.
A couple times, probably 2 or 3 times.
Yeah.
But it's probably 2 feet long. If you can't see from here, if you can see on the cameras.
It's a heavy ponytail. The Locks of Love would love that.
My sisters have taken care of Locks of Love repeatedly over the years.
So that saved you?
No, I need to catch up. I will do something with this eventually, I hope. Mm-hmm. And
when you get rich and famous and can afford to cut it.
I can't imagine somebody wanting it in the first place because of how beat up it's been over the years.
Well, they'll put some moisturizer on it and call it a day.
Probably.
Yeah.
Or, I mean, they'll refine it, manufacture it, and do...
Turn it into a jellyfish wig.
Yeah, whatever they need to do with it to make it safe for whoever needs it, whatever they need it for.
Right.
And I would feel comfortable with that, but right now I'm like, gosh,
As a musician, you got to have long hair. Especially when you play the guitar.
It's like a caste system, and I won't be able to break free from it anytime soon. If I got rid of it, I wouldn't be a real artist, I guess. I don't know.
That's what you're saying in your mind.
Maybe, I don't know. I mean, the there's no standard for that sort of thing. I'm not going to judge the people that can't have the long hair because they have a profession. They have I know, but if they have a professional position somewhere where they can't have it, right. I'm lucky enough to have a lifestyle and have this music thing and the artistry that I can express myself through.
You can pin it up in the back if you have to.
Exactly, I'll fold it up.
Fold it up. Never know.
But I also have a job that they respect the individuality of the people that come to work with the clientele. So I'm encouraged to keep this sort of thing, right. Though it might be a little more dangerous for me to keep it. It's never been a problem at all for me. Mm-hmm. So if it's not a problem for me, I really haven't had a problem with.
One of the things too, rock and roll has like a tendency to kind of focus on youth, youthfulness and stuff like that. It's kind of like a fault, like a worship of youth, youth. So long hair and stuff like that. That's the reason why I think if you look back in the '60s, that's the reason why rock and roll is considered so rebellious, because the guys had the long hair. They always
had the waist length hair, parted down the middle.
Yeah,
it's all part of that. Yeah, the image and stuff like that is a huge part of rock and roll.
I wonder where that started. I went to do our history
from the
report.
'60s, somewhere out in Woodstock.
It probably went further than back. Johann Sebastian Bach probably had long powdered locks that the ladies just loved,
or they wore the powdered wigs that the ladies loved.
that might have been the start of that.
Well, do you ever think about this? Okay, according to Christian culture, men are not supposed to have long hair, but in Europe, most men did have longer hair. Yeah. And then when they went to the wigs, like you're talking about, it was wigs made out of human hair, right? And somebody shaved their heads or cut them real short so they could wear the wigs.
That didn't make sense to me.
It doesn't make any sense to me at all.
Shave my head to wear a wig. No.
But it's like a hat.
But I used to have waist length hair like that, and I still wore wigs because I liked the versatility of a wig.
Yeah, but it's the versatility of, well, I can literally let my hair down, or I can literally just take my hair off. Yeah. If I have something important that I'm supposed to look professional and dapper or whatever for, that's why those guys wore the
powdered wigs.
Yeah, the colonial times,
the
wigs and
whatever. Outfits up to here and the pants to the knees and the white stocking. Those outfits just make me cringe. I did not see a hot guy back then because they all looked alike.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I can see where now it's perpetual, like everybody wants the individualism.
Yeah.
Whereas back then it was too uniform.
Yeah, all the men looked alike, all the women looked alike. They wore the same kind of outfits. It's sort of like some of the religions now where all the women had to wear the long dresses and the up to here, and the hair have to be a certain way. We were just talking about, the Amish and the Hutterites and Mennonites, how they all dress pretty much alike.
It's a uniform.
I think I would go crazy. They would kick me out. I'd be like that one girl that was rebelling all the time. They was like, you got to keep your hair covered up. And she come out, she flinging her hair like this. They were having a fit going, no, cover your hair. And I'm just like, what the heck is having your hair down going to do? Is, the sun going to drop out the sky or what?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
As much as that's, like I said, being a bookworm and reading up on all sorts of, I'm very interested. I'm fascinated by religious life and mysticism and the occult and hermeticism, all this stuff that just would boggle people's brains. Reading about Kabbalah and numerology and all this stuff. I mean, it's all sort of on the fringe nowadays, but it all sort of ties together to mainstream religion anyways. It's just kind of swept underneath the rug, but that stuff is so fascinating to me. I mean, there's reasons for all that stuff. Why
there are reasons.
Why they're veiled? Why they're wearing pilgrim clothes? Why they're they can't show their hair? They're wearing bonnets all the time. Yeah. I mean, there's all sorts of reasons for that. Maybe it's just
That's like why musicians have to have long hair.
Yeah, exactly. It's sustaining a tradition.
Well, I think they should have long hair.
The irony is the rock and roll is created to go rebel against a tradition and culture like that. I mean,
and now it's become our uniform in a way.
Because
being an artiste.
Which we're still not sure how we spell that, but
artist. So I didn't want to do any deviation on the standard.
It's the teast in it.
Yeah.
That's too funny.
Those little French marks above the E or something.
Right.
That's probably what I was going to suggest that, but I was like, I don't know the proper term for that stuff.
I don't even know my keyboard would do that.
You guys look it up.
Some of the keyboards will let you do that stuff. You have to switch it to another language, and then some of the keys will come out as those little symbols.
I wish I knew how to do that because it might freak people out.
My niece was doing it when she was in the military. Her and her friends was doing it, and it would come out like Japanese and different things like that. And I always look at them like, how do you guys make your keyboard do that? And then somebody had asked that question. They were saying, oh, you got to switch it from English to, and I still don't know how to do it.
It's too complex, and we're never going to have a practical use for it. You and
I'm never going to use it.
Yeah, I'm not.
It's like me and algebra.
But right now, I would like to know how to spell artiste. and if we could somebody can email it to us.
Yeah, some of the artistas that's hanging around Flint. Artistas. Some of them.
Just send it to me in a message and I'll just copy paste how you spell artiste.
And then I want to know the plural of it.
Yeah.
Because if you're more than one artiste, are you artistas? Artistas?
You would think that's already the plural form.
You would think so.
Yeah.
Just think of deer.
What's
deer.
What's the plural of octopus? Octopi. Yeah. So it just
but people don't say that. And just like cactus. Mm-hmm. Cacti.
Cactuses.
But people say cactuses.
Yeah. I think I used to too. But.
And fish is single and plural, but people say fishes. Mm-hmm. And the same with deer. Deers and deer. It's deer is single and plural.
No wonder they were typing in Japanese because English is just so confusing.
People always say, the people that do my nails are Vietnamese, so I always ask them, is it easier to speak Vietnamese or English? I'm like, how hard was it to learn English? They're like, oh, it's real easy. I said, no wonder, because we slaughter it so bad.
Yeah, exactly.
It's our language and we slaughter it.
Yeah.
But
it'd be harder for them, especially here in the northern states like Michigan, because we speak so fast.
Yeah, and then down south it's so slow.
So slow. Yeah.
It's because it's so laid back.
Being that I'm
from Arkansas.
Well, we lived in we had a military family, so we moved around a lot. Mm-hmm. So living in Virginia, gladly I shrugged off that southern accent. Or maybe there's remnants of it somewhere in here. maybe somebody out there can detect it, but I don't sense it anymore.
Yeah.
I might be able to kick it up. If I spend too much time in the South, it might come back in.
Well, it's like with Arkansas. When I moved up north, nobody believed I was from Arkansas because they always said, well, you don't have an accent. And then when I go down south and talk, people always say, oh, well, where are you from? Mm-hmm. It's like you can hear theirs, but you can't hear mine. You only hear my northern accent now.
You don't find that if you're down there too long, though, it doesn't sort of dredge back up?
No.
It doesn't resurface. I would be afraid that it would because
then I start speaking a lot slower and having a drawl, and because when I watch shows like Say Yes to the Dress and they're down in Atlanta and all that, and Lori, her accent is so thick, and it's like I don't remember ever having an accent like that.
I have a friend I grew up with right across the street from this is like right in the neighborhood I grew up in, and he grew up right across the street from the studio, and his family's Mexican, right? So they're Mexican Americans, and he moved down to Alabama. Now he comes up here, he's got this thick Southern accent. I'm like, God, it just sounds so, knowing his history.
It's a totally different guy now.
Yeah, he's got a totally different attitude too, totally more laid back. It's just, I guess your environment does impact on you.
But what's funny is when you hear, like, when I was watching the Top Chef, and there's this lady, she was like Korean and something, but she had a British accent. Mm-hmm. You're like, what?
So is Tina Turner. I don't know where that comes from. But
you're gonna get confused. That's called multiculturalism.
I know, but her accent, when I saw her, I knew she was of an Asian descent. Mm-hmm. But then when she started talking, she had this British accent, and it was confusing. Everybody was looking at her like, and I'm looking. It's like those don't go together. Yeah. But then, I have a friend that's black from London, and when some friends heard her talk for the first time, they was like, looking like this, and they're like, oh, you from across the water.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why you say that? What's across the water mean?
Yeah.
You from across the pond.
Yeah, but I would have to say that, after moving around so much and being exposed to like urban environment, rural communities and countryside and southern and northern, that I'm glad that I shrugged off the southern. I can dredge up that sort of urban dialect when I need it because it comes in handy when I'm at work. Mm-hmm. Because
you may not understand what people are saying.
The clientele, they gravitate. They ask me too, like, Mister, where you from? Mm-hmm. Where you from? Because you just said draws. Like, yeah, I did, didn't I? And you just say your mama.
Your mama.
You just said mama. Nobody says that. Where are you from? I'm like, well, I did spend some time living in the city. But it just dredges back up. If you're comfortable enough, whether you're exposed to it long enough, you can use those sort of things, and you connect with people. And I would have to include, though, that when you say that, you have black friends that live from, they're from London. Something about that just seems kind of sexy. The accent.
The accent.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like that with men too. When I hear an accent, it's like, that's kind of sexy to me,
Friends and I were talking about that when we're still working the college, some of the student workers would talk about it, and they said, yeah, we don't have an accent. And then somebody brought up, well, if you go somewhere else, you would have the accent.
Right.
So probably girls would be interested in you,
Yeah, your accent would be totally different.
Yeah, they'd say, oh, they'd prick their ears up, like, oh, you got
to
it might
speak
be
another
pretty lame.
language.
It might be pretty lame.
Right.
Yeah, it would just turn people off.
Right.
Well, maybe they might think they're faking it.
That never works.
That never works. Don't fake your accent.
Yeah, you get shot down real quick.
I grew up with this kid. He was like us, in a couple of streets over. He went to the same elementary school. But he looked like your quintessential English boy. A little blonde-haired kid, real thin, pale. Spoke with a British accent. Okay, right in the middle. And it was his mom, I think, was from Britain. And it was like, but he seemed like just basically it was a transfer of accent. Total. His sister didn't even have it as much as he did. He sounded totally British. That just sounded so weird. He's grown up here on the very blue-collar neighborhood.
Right.
Yeah. And he had this proper British accent.
I'm gonna use this as
blue collar.
I'm gonna use this as a cool example. I hadn't spent a lot of time with my girlfriend's dad, and he's a great supporter. He's always on Facebook. He just loves the stuff that I do, and he's very supportive with our relationship. And I sat down with him for dinner at a restaurant, and he had been having a beer, and actually he might have had a beer or 3 or 4 before we got there. But, and because their family, their ancestry is, like his father and their family was Irish. After he's had a little bit of the thinking sauce, the Irish accent would start to kick up. And I was like, wow, that's kind of cool. I like the way your dad talks. Like I had to tell her later. I'm like, you don't notice that? She's like, no, not really, because maybe that's he got it from the way my grandfather talks. I'm like, well, that's still kind of cool. I like that. It reminds me of. Because, like I said, we move around a lot. When we lived in Germany, it reminded me of the accent that some of the Germans would try to speak English or whatever, or some of the Americans would try to speak German and then just end up picking up a German accent.
A whole new language.
Yeah. You know what's really weird?
Yeah, I know. Now I'm jumping around all over the place. But
when I was taking German in high school, I couldn't handle it because I just didn't know how to use language that well. I mean, I didn't know the components of English back then. So I dropped out, and the teacher was trying to discourage me to drop out. He said, but when you speak with a perfect Berliner accent, and that would have been the area where my ancestors came from, were German. Wow. And it was so weird. It was like, he said, it just comes through. And I didn't grow up hearing, because my great-grandparents were already gone when I was born, way before I was born. But it seems like, when I learned German, I kind of gravitated towards speaking that way.
Your gene code.
Yeah, I believe that's what gives credence to me about that. The whole theory is that what happened there.
Gene pool.
That's exciting, though. That you'd be so proficient and almost naturally with something like that. You wouldn't. You felt like you were doing it that well, but at least you had the accent.
That's what he said. Well, I spoke better German than anybody else in the class. My pronunciation
I'm not
is
even
better.
from Germany. I speak good German. Is that the language German? Is it called German?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, actually, it'd be Deutsch.
Yeah, they call it Deutsch.
Deutsch.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
They don't even call it Germany.
What do they call it?
Deutschland. Yeah, Deutschland.
Just like Hungary is not Hungary, it's Magyarország.
Yeah.
Magyarország.
Oh,
We name. Remember which comedian was it was talking about? Like we have this bad habit of naming countries that have great names these ugly names. Like what was the example? I think he used the example was Spain. Spain. It sounds bad. It doesn't fit well. But the country that we're talking about is España,
Oh,
gosh.
Now, España sounds sexy. Spain sort of reminds you of spam.
Well,
Yeah, exactly.
Britain actually was named by the Romans. I mean, Great Britain, and actually there had been Elba or something like that. They're their own. They call it, and then like Ireland is actually Erin. The land of That's weird how we change names.
Yeah.
Well, I'm from Arkansas, but people want to call it Arkansas.
Arkansas.
Or Arkansas.
Well, you got your Kansas, we got our Kansas.
That's yours, this is ours.
Now we're getting punny. You guys are rolling into the bad puns now.
That's funny. That's funny. Well, anyways, it's been a fun day. Mm-hmm. And I hope that people will tune in just so they can get the link to your CD.
I hope so.
We can sell some more, even though it's a year old.
Yeah, I'm gonna bring you guys a copy. You guys can go online. You can find it. Look at the links. Visit it. Check it out because I think a lot of people gravitate toward this. With how successful some of these comic book movies have been lately, this makes sense. It's comic book music. You know, it's action packed.
It's action packed, like pow, pow, zap.
Well, a little bit of that. Yeah. Just an homage, you know. I had to throw something like that in
Like
there. So.
pow.
Yeah.
Well, that background that you had up there, I couldn't tell what it was, but it was really just moving and seemed like it was loud and it went with the music.
I would like to, at some point, supply some of those backdrops online so people can see some of that artwork, you know, clearly, rather than, you know, the exclusivity of like having to see it at the shows.
Right,
you know?
right.
Because I do put a lot of you know, work and have to engineer that stuff and have it just right. It's basically like making a music video, but it's animated.
And you should have had somebody behind the screen that looked like they were naked.
You think so?
Wouldn't that have been cool? Did you see this body? What, like on James
We have to
Bond?
have one of each so you could get, attract both sexes equally.
Well, it'd be like, you know,
I can't.
with
I can't
James
play favorites.
Bond, when they have the girl behind the screen, you know, see, and you don't know if they're naked or not. Mm-hmm. See?
I don't have any naked music though. I don't have any. You know.
You can have music to get naked by.
Yeah.
There you go.
I need to work.
Barry White.
Yeah, Luther Vandross.
Marvin Gaye.
Marvin Gaye.
Yep.
Drop the draws.
David Bowie. No.
Fame.
I'm just kidding. No. I'm not.
I think that'd be kind of rough.
I'll go back to the name drop that we used earlier.
That's actually, I would say you are what they call multimedia artist.
Yeah. That's what I've told people before. I'm like, it's
A multimedia artist.
multimedia showcase. You know, that's what it is. Like, if I'm doing music, I'm doing video stuff, and I'm singing, and I have this. I'm trying to finish this book. The book won't be done till next year, anyways.
So what's the book about?
The book is, I'm about 2 chapters into it, and because as I explained that the way I try to get that stuff across is like I can only sing about so much that's going on in the story. If people are that interested with the story, they can just love the music if they want to and groove to that. But
groove to it.
But there's people out there that want to see or learn more about that sort of thing. They want a deeper immersion into that story or that mythology that I've built. And I'm using a lot of the staples of, science fiction anyways. UFO invasion, aliens and stuff, and a superhero with, poignantly enough, the name Mr. Jellyfish means that he has electrical powers, whatever, okay? So now I'm getting deeper into my own mythology. So I'm like, well, I have to explain some of this stuff. I can only do so much of that in the lyrics or the artwork that I have.
Okay.
So
you do a book to go with, will the book go with the CD?
The book is going to set a precursor. This is going to start from the beginning so that everybody gets, from a first-person sort of perspective, what actually happens. I need a chronicle of how this all jumped off. Why I'm helping to defend the Earth and stop the alien invasion or whatever. And if people want that mythology, if they need that to help make better sense of the story, if they're gravitating towards and they like this stuff, that's great because I'm having fun writing it, and I'm a big fan of that stuff anyways. As much as I read and I try to stay away from fiction, I love science fiction, and I love fantasy and adventure stories or whatever. So this is good exercise for the things that I've grown up liking and loving and experimenting with before. And now I'm to a point where I'm going to get this book done. I'm going to publish it. I'll probably use like a Lulu or some other online press. And there's really no skin off my back. They're just going to print copies for whoever wants a copy.
Right.
And
I think that's who I'm going to use if I ever get my book done.
You should. You going to go Kindle too, maybe, or Kindle?
Probably. I think that would be cool. The thing is like I figure if I already have all this artwork established from the live show and the CD artwork and stuff like that.
Right.
I'm like, I have to put illustrations in this book too. So there's more workload that I'm piling on top of myself. But guess what? I've got lots of time for it.
Yeah.
And I have the energy to put into it. I'm trying to embrace this as much as I can because like you said, I'm young, but I put off an album and worked on it for 6 years. I don't want to work on an album again for 6 years.
You don't
or
want
a
to
book
take
for 6
another
years.
6 years.
Yeah, I would hope to have a book done in 6 months,
Well, my goal was to have one copy of mine done by the time I hit 60, and that's only 9 months away. So I don't know that I'm going to make it.
I'll help.
But I keep saying I want to do it.
Brainstorm on what would the book be about?
Well, my book is an autobiography, and I have a lot of stuff written down, and I've started putting it on the computer. But I volunteer with so many different groups that when I get going on the book, then it's time to stop the book and then go and do something else.
Yeah.
So now that I've cut back a lot of the groups that I'm working with, I have a little more time.
Yeah.
So my plan is to get me that Dragon software so that I can talk it out, because I have a lot of stuff written, but every time I start copying it, I think of something else and then I start typing that. And I forgot about what I wrote over here.
I could see Brandon going through this. You know, you're doing the book, you're using the Dragon, and you're in your room doing that. He goes, Mom's talking to herself more often than normal.
Well, he keeps telling me I need to go ahead and get the Dragon, and I keep saying I'm going to get it, but I haven't done it, and I need to just say, okay, I got to go get that Dragon software.
It's on sale for $74 now.
Well, I found it for even cheaper online at Walmart for like $54, because they have like different versions of it, and I just need the basic version so I can learn how to use it instead of spend a whole lot of money on something I don't know how to use.
But the thing is that the investment could pay off. People are going to love your book anyways, regardless of what you put into it, because we just want to hear the story.
That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to write the story. But I just got to get something to help me write it faster.
That's my encouragement. I'm sure there's tons of people out there who just want to know more of the story. You can only explain so much of it. And you're going to use that Dragon software to get it all down. But what happens after that is you're going to have to follow up with another book.
Well, I want to sell at least one copy of this one. I want to sell at least a copy so I can say, I wrote a book and I sold it. And then after that, it's like, yes.
It does feel good doing those things.
Yeah. I mean, that's one of the things on my bucket list. I'll be 60 next year, and I wanted to have at least a book done.
And skydiving.
Oh, yeah, I got to go skydiving.
Yeah. That's one of the things you can talk about publicly anyway.
The other things, you know. Well, they'll fall into place.
We discussed the skydiving thing before.
Yeah, I want to skydive. I want to go up in a hot air balloon. And, you know, I got a whole bucket list of places to go. You know, my main place was Alaska, so I did that. And so I just got to do these other things. I want to go to Europe. So, you know, I want to take a couple cruises. I want them to be like European cruises instead of trying to fly there. I just want to get on the ship and go through Paris, London. Then I want to do the Mediterranean, you know, all those kind of things. Yeah, I mean,
foot travel.
Those are the things I want to do. But the book, you know, it's like when I started when I was in my 20s, but I figured I hadn't lived long enough. So now I figure, okay, I've done a whole lot more things, and I'm ready to put it together.
What you got to do is make up a fictional universe where you're the main character, and you can just write about alien invasions and how you're going to save the world anyways.
You don't understand. You don't understand, Lisa. To her, she is the center of the universe here. Okay, our universe. Yeah. See. Right. I'm just joking, by the way, Lisa.
I'll give it up to you for now. You can keep the universe. I'm gonna have to save it though.
That's right, Mr. Jellyfish to the rescue.
I'll have to save it. Everybody can live in it, but I'll have to. He'll have
to save it. I think that'll be funny. Bluebeard coming to save the world. Now that's a thought.
I've considered changing colors from. You know,
the
like
blue?
maybe it's maybe I'm feeling red today.
No, I think the blue goes with your hair because your hair is so dark. I think the blue, the navy blue, the dark blue that I saw was really
well. Technically, you know, it's Asian lady hair and it's like a blue black.
Okay.
So
Asian lady.
That's what I keep calling it.
That's another channel. He's channeling another past life.
Probably. Well, it's who's on the little hair color box. You know, it's an Asian lady. So I'm like, well, I guess I got Asian lady hair now. So.
That's too funny. Well, please don't go red all over. Don't do it. Don't do it.
I used to. It was like an auburn color, not crazy fire red.
Not fire red.
Or, fire engine red, but. Or fire hydrant red, but
right.
I still had, red.
Okay. We won't talk about red. I want to be saved by a Bluebeard.
Bluebeard. Like I said, though, I might feel red one day, or I might feel, maybe I'll put hot pink in there.
Ooh, no. He got hot pink shoelaces. Did you notice that, John?
Yeah.
No, I didn't notice. I didn't look at the shoes.
I won't be able to lift it good on camera. We'll just...
We don't want to see the hot pink shoelaces.
Actually, I wear these. I wore them today because I wear them on stage all the time. They feel like my stage shoes.
Oh, okay.
And I keep them so pristine.
And the world is his stage.
I want to keep clean shoes when I get up on stage because I don't want to look like some scrub that just like walked in and he dragged his amplifier.
I can't stand dirty tennis shoes.
Yeah.
So anyways, we're going to wrap the show up today after having so much fun. I'm so glad that you did change your schedule to come because you came from a long ways.
No, no distance would be too far to travel to come to Flaming Pit.
Oh, I'm blessed. You hear that, John? I'm blushing.
So now nobody can cancel any future shows for you. Okay?
That's right. That's
They don't
right.
have an excuse. If I could come here all the way, then anybody else doesn't have an excuse.
And plus, we have to keep up with you so that you can make me and John some rich and famous voiceover people.
Yeah,
That'd be cool.
I would love
I think
to.
it'd be fun. I'd like to do
I would
at least
love
one
to.
time just to say I did. I put that
I
on
would
my
love to.
bucket list.
Yeah, put it on your bucket
I will
list.
put
and
that
I'm gonna help you fulfill it, and John's gonna come and help.
All right then. All right
We'll
then.
need somebody else to master the controls and stuff.
So the day of, we
I might
can
be-
actually
I might-
come in
I
here.
I'll get Chris upstairs from
Yeah.
Yeah,
the-
yeah.
on it.
I might be laughing to her while we do the session.
It would be hilarious. I think I would love it. But anyways, next week I have Chris Hamilton from the Old Newsboys is going to come in, and every year Chris and have they do the collecting of the funds out in the street to feed the homeless, and they do all kind of good stuff like that. So I want everybody to make sure they tune in. And once again, thanks Daryl Hunt, Mr. Jellyfish, for coming in and
Thank you, Lisa.
we're
Thank you,
having
John.
so much fun today.
Thank you very much.
And saying that, we're going to sign out for now. So see you next week, same time, same place. It's Flaming Pit, and we're out.